Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday of Holy Week, and at our church, we are going through the events leading up to Jesus' death and resurrection. And because we were studying 1 Corinthians 13 this past Sunday, we are looking at specifically how did Jesus show love to others in this final week before he went to the cross. And it's very interesting on Wednesday of that week. We see one of my favorite events in Jesus' life. Jesus is anointed by a woman at Bethany. And what we see happening here is the disciples and their own self-interest coming in contrast to Jesus's love of others. And Matthew sets up the scene that Jesus had finished teaching in the temple, and he says that you know that after 2 days the Passover is coming and the Son of Man will be delivered up to be crucified. So he fully knows what is coming. And then the chief priests and elders gather in the palace of the high priest, whose name is Caiaphas, and they plot together in order to arrest Jesus by stealth and kill him. And they don't want to do it during the Passover feast, and so they either have to do it now or they have to wait till the feast is over. And then after this scene in Bethany, Matthew then shows us that Judas expedites their plan, and he comes forward. He's one of Jesus's disciples, and he comes forward to betray Jesus because of his own self-interest. He loves money. John tells us that he is the keeper of Jesus's money bag, and that he would help himself to whatever he felt like out of that money bag. And so he betrays Jesus for a mere 30 pieces of silver. And yet in the middle of those two descriptions, we see this woman come in. And in Matthew chapter 26, verse 6, Jesus was at Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, and a woman came up to him with an alabaster flask of very expensive ointment, and she poured it on his head as he reclined at the table. She's, instead of longing for more stuff, more riches, more wealth, she's pouring herself out. And when the disciples saw it, they were indignant. Did they not understand who they were with? They were indignant, saying, "Why this waste? For this could have been sold for a large sum and given to the poor." Now, some of them may have had a genuine confusion about this, but John tells us that Judas was the loudest voice among them all, and that he said this because he wanted to keep more money in the money bag so he could take out more money from the money bag. And so he's like, why didn't you just give us the money for the alabaster flask? We could have distributed it to the poor, and look at how good we are. But even under this guise of love for the poor, what we see is men looking to their own self-interests. And yet here's Jesus standing in sharp contrast. Here's this woman standing in sharp contrast, getting ready to pour out everything. The woman pouring out the alabaster flask, Jesus pouring out his own blood for the sins of many. And so Jesus, aware of their arguments, their grumblings amongst themselves, Jesus says to them, "Why do you trouble the woman? For she has done a beautiful thing to me. For you always have the poor with you, but you will not always have me." By the way, he's not telling us that we shouldn't care for the poor. He's telling us that during that time when he was on earth, it was just a few more days left. This was a right response. And then he explains it. He says, "In pouring this ointment on my body, she has done it to prepare me for burial." Now, whether she knew that or not, I don't know, but Jesus knew it, right? He says, "Truly I say to you, wherever this gospel is proclaimed in the whole world, what she has done will also be told in memory of her." That's pretty incredible. We learned on Sunday that love is eternal, right? And that love is the thing that will remain far beyond anything else that we do. And she loved Jesus, and Jesus loved her. And in the midst of all of this grumbling and complaining, we just get this moment between this woman and Jesus. And he affirms her. And he says, she's pouring out everything because I'm going to pour out everything. Love is not self-seeking. It does not insist on its own way. Remember that Jesus loved you in this way. And then whenever you have the opportunity, pour yourself out for Jesus. Pour out everything that you have because he is worthy, because he has given it all already. And everything that you have belongs to him, and it is all beginning with his finished work. I want you to know, Oak Hill, you are loved by your Savior. You are loved by me. You are loved.